There's DIY, and there's doing it yourself. It's the difference between being
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? How you doing, Sans? How you doing? Okay. So I'm just making sure you guys can still hear the music, but not too loud. There you go. Something along those lines. Not gonna lie, I wonder how Silksong is doing in terms of gems. So we won't know till tomorrow. I manually added it to ensure I get the values for it. But we won't know for sure till tomorrow. Because remember, I get the average data for the performance of it for the previous day. So in other words, tomorrow I'll be able to check what value it actually had. But it's there. I added it. I made sure it's there just in case it doesn't automatically recognize it and add it. I manually added it myself. So that should be good. All set up. The same thing. I did the exact same thing with what was it? Metal Gear, which came out on the 28th of August. So that came out not too long ago. And I didn't have anything there, so I added that one as well. And so yeah, so those are what we have. So with that said, today I wanted to mix things up a little bit and see if we can do something a little bit different, and see if we can make it kind of a thing where what I'm gonna be doing is I've kind of bundled up the news from multiple sources, at least news that was released this week regarding video games. So I wanted to talk a little bit on that and just speaking on some things that I heard online, read on articles and that kind of stuff to keep you updated and keep you some insight on what's happened this week in the gaming industry as a whole. So we'll start this with me first talking about I don't know if you heard, but apparently, yes. So current events for gaming. So apparently, Call of Duty just got greenlit and they gave the rights to Paramount to start making a movie for them. So that's super interesting. I know there's been some rumors going around. I had a friend who asked me, they were like, oh, is he heard a rumor that Dwayne The Rock Johnson was going to be playing Price in the movie, which is false. That's not true. That's not a thing. At least we don't know yet, because we don't even know what game is going to be adapted to for that new movie. So there's a couple theories behind that. I don't know which games you would want to be adapted. But obviously I'm a big Black Ops fan. I got into Call of Duty, the franchise, through Black Ops. I think Black Ops 1 was my first ever Call of Duty game. So I am biased on that sense. But if you ask me, making a Black Ops movie would be kind of hard. If it's not Black Ops or Modern Warfare, I don't want it. Hello, Very Tired. Thank you for joining in. And so there's three potential outcomes here, right? So the two biggest IPs are Black Ops and Modern Warfare. Sorry, not biggest IPs, like biggest stories, I guess, from the Call of Duty franchise is Modern Warfare and the Black Ops storyline. Now, that being said, I think it'd be a little bit hard for them to pull off a Black Ops story, like readapting one of the Black Ops stories into a movie. But I would be pleasantly surprised. The whole point of Black Ops storylines are there's always a huge twist at some point. So that would be amazing. I mean, if you play the game, you already know the story, but still, it'd be very interesting to see how they adapt that. But the more likely one that they would do would be Modern Warfare. Simply because Modern Warfare, maybe Modern Warfare 2 Xbox 360 version into a movie. So I don't think they would jump to Modern Warfare 2. If they're gonna start with the Modern Warfare franchise, I believe they're gonna start with just Modern Warfare 1, right? They would just start the whole new story. Now, the thing is that they just, well, not just, it's Modern Warfare, the reboot came out not super long ago. I mean, it's still pretty recent that Modern Warfare first came out. The new, I guess, storyline, the more modern Modern Warfare. They could try doing that one, but it just feels like the whole, I don't know. It just feels like the situation with what happened with How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon, or maybe I'm just getting old, but How to Train Your Dragon has not been out long enough for them to decide to make a reboot live action version of it. It's clearly just for as a cash grab, right? Or at least that's how it felt. Granted, I had not seen the movie, so I wouldn't be able to say if it was good or bad. But nonetheless, I feel like it hasn't been out that long for them to really justify making a movie of the live action in that case. And I think it's the same thing with Modern Warfare, where Modern Warfare has been, releasing a rebooted version in the last few years. And I think it's too early to them basically reboot the series again, but in a movie version. Now, the third option is the option that I'm the least happy about, right? I think it would be the worst outcome, which is them making just a war flick with the IP Call of Duty on it. Not following any of the stories that they've had so far, not following any of the stories of any of the campaigns in the games, and just purely going for a generic military film and then just saying it's Call of Duty, right? And then maybe sprinkle in the name of some characters from different games here and there. I think that would be the worst outcome. I really hope that that's not the case. I really do hope that they adapt similar to how they did with The Last of Us, right? That they did it for the series. I hope it was also, The Last of Us was also Paramount, right? I don't know if I'm correct in that, but was it also Paramount? I want to check that real quick. Was The Last of Us Paramount? The Last of Us. The Last of Us. Series. Who's the publisher? Who's her publisher? Sony TV. Okay, it doesn't seem like Paramount had anything to do with it. I could have sworn they did, but apparently not. Not made by Paramount. Regardless, so Undertale movie would probably be better than Call of Duty movie. If they do it correctly, I can agree, right? If they were to adapt it how it should be, I would love to have it animated, right? A live action would be pretty bad if you ask me, but having a animated Undertale would, I think, hit super nice. Like, it would be really good. But that is if they do it correctly. Remember, one of the biggest things with Undertale was the fact that you could play as a good guy or as a bad guy, and then if you played as Char, or whatever, Kara, whatever it is that was the name of the evil route, right? That route would remember, right? So it was revolutionary at the time, the fact that the characters would remember and know what actions you had taken previously. I don't know how they would be able to really kind of translate that to video games, you know? So it definitely, from video game to a movie. The genocide route, just going the genocide route, it'd be interesting, but I think at the same time it would I don't know, even if, you know what, crazy idea, they do both. Some theaters show genocide route, some theaters show the mercy route. So imagine if they were to do that, where in each theater, different theaters have different versions of the exact same movie. I think that'd be awesome. It's similar to what happened with Spider-Man, Spider-Man Into the Multiverse. That one, the second one, had different scenes on different depending on the screening that you had. So they could do something similar. So I mean, Spider-Man did it. It's proven that you can do it. Be very interesting. Maybe half of the movie is pacifist route and half of the movie is genocide route. That could also be the case. I don't know how they would work around it in the story, but definitely something that, if done correctly, would bring a lot of traction and a lot of attention. But with Call of Duty, it's the issue regarding them just making they could just make a random a random military film and just put the Call of Duty name on it, and I think that's not the route they should go. I'm gonna fix the lighting real quick. Give me a sec, guys. Meanwhile, even though you're not gonna see my face, you should still be able to hear me. So, while I fix the lighting here real quick, I'll continue telling. So the other really interesting, theory of what they could do, and I know they're not gonna do it, but a man can dream, right? I know they're not gonna do it, but a man can dream. Okay, I would love for them to do Black Ops Zombies. Imagine if they did. If the Call of Duty movie they adapted, the story would be Call of Duty Zombies. Imagine how crazy that would be. But I mean, I don't know what they're gonna choose. It's up in the air regarding what story they're deciding to adapt. So anything is possible right now. Anything is possible. So, like the Minecraft movie, basically. Yes. But apparently the Minecraft movie, the IP is so good that it succeeded. I mean, it didn't succeed on older viewers or older fans, but the target demographic was not them. The target demographic were basically like younger Gen Z or Gen Alpha, kids, and they enjoy the movie a lot. I haven't seen the movie myself, but a lot of memes have come out of that movie, so I would say it's pretty successful. But with that said, that's the general idea behind Call of Duty. Like we're waiting to see what more information we think will come out. But and this is for kind of the YouTube video. I'm taking some slips here. But if you think, what do you think is going to be the game that's going to be adapted? What story do you think is going to be adapted, or what story do you want to be adapted? And also, maybe who would you cast for this film? Let me know in the comments down below. At this point, I might as well make a Hollow Knight movie. Yeah, honestly, that would be super interesting. But they would have to the Hollow Knight's lore. The Hollow Knight lore is very much hidden, I would say. Like you have to really look for the Hollow Knight lore. Otherwise, you're just kind of just fighting enemies and progressing through the story and just fighting whatever bosses you encounter, right? It's similar to Elden Ring or Dark Souls, where it's like if you don't show enough attention or you don't pay attention, if you don't know the story, it doesn't stop you, right? If you don't understand it doesn't stop you from enjoying the game. So it would basically be like maybe they could make a movie of the prequel to Hollow Knight, like what happened to the Mad King and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be very interesting. So yeah, there's that. What else? We could also, I wonder if they could also just end up adapting Silksong, but Silksong as a movie. and then have that being developed for 10 years, and then just marketing little by little the movie here and there. Oh, that'd be funny. Speaking of, that's another thing that happened today. Officially, Silksong is out. The game, the myth, the legend, it exists. People are enjoying it. Apparently, there were so many people trying to buy the game on Steam that Steam servers were struggling, and people were spamming the buy button, and they would get an error every single time. That's how much attention and people were anticipating this game. The developers must be like having a field day, because the fact that you're selling the game so much that you broke the server and Steam can't keep up with the demand, that means that it's a huge success. Assuming that they don't just end up refunding it. I've seen TikToks about Steam was basically brought to its knees. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, if you went into Steam to buy Silksong, loading the page was gonna take a while, and then clicking on like add to cart and all of that, and like buying it, purchase, would just give you an error. Like it was not allowing you, and people were just spamming that thing as if they were waiting on a queue to buy tickets for for a concert. Okay, like it's crazy how many people were trying and lining up to play Silksong. So much so that I think in SteamDB, and we can take a look at that later if you want, but in SteamDB, there is a what is it called? There is a they've updated it, and they already have like some of the initial numbers of players that were playing it day one. It's seen today, only today, it's seen 560 something thousand people playing the game, which for a launch is really good. And in general, I think that might be like, I don't know if it's a record. I don't know what is the highest launch day player numbers that Steam has recorded, but that has to be up there as one of the highest launch numbers. I'm pretty sure Xbox and PlayStation wasn't even selling it for a few hours after it released. Yeah, no, I mean, they didn't do the midnight release, from my understanding, because there were a lot of people waiting for it to hit 12 at midnight so they could buy the game, and they had to not allow that for it to kind of not do what it did, which is crash the servers. Once again, amazing. Am I wrong? Is Silksong gonna be added to Game Pass? I don't remember if that was a thing. Silksong Game Pass. Silksong Game Pass. Because that'd be crazy. Game Pass. It is. It is on Game Pass. So people didn't even need to buy it. People can play like Silksong through the Game Pass. That's crazy. I thought I had to buy Silksong. That means I might be able to actually play it without buying it. I would have to change the setup a little bit because my Xbox is all the way in my living room. But damn, that's interesting. So I don't doubt if Xbox also struggled with how many people were downloading the game when it got added to Game Pass. Yeah, no, this is it. Silksong is, regardless of what people end up, taking out of it and what they feel for the game, it's still like historic performance, historic hype. It's just overall, just we're seeing one of the biggest, I think, releases for an indie game that we've ever seen. I think it's definitely, as far as indie games go, I think it's breaking records. So we might see it similar to Power World. I don't know if you know, but Power World, when it released, it had reached a really high value. It did what no I haven't seen many other games do, which is beat Counter-Strike. It got 7,000 something score, a gem score, a 7,000 something gem score initially when it launched. But it skyrocketed downwards afterwards. But still, that was a huge release date number, which I would not be surprised if Silksong beats it. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on it. I want to see if the numbers shoot out. But yeah, so it's here. Everybody has Silksong. Everybody is already playing it. Those who were gonna be playing it are playing it. If I were to go to Steam right now, there's probably just like a billion channels playing the game. So yeah, it's a bunch of people. Now, so that was one other news that I was gonna cover. But another news is apparently every news or art, like video game news website or out there decided to, or were super excited about the announcement of 007 First Light. It's a James Bond game that they're developing that is James Bond in his earlier years when he's like very young and all that kind of stuff. I personally, I don't think I would play the game, but I think it's getting a lot of attention because if I'm not mistaken, it might be created. I gotta see. I don't know who it was that is developing it, but a lot of people. The trailer came out and a lot of news articles were really excited about this James Bond game that's going to come out. The only 007 game that I know is the GoldenEye, the classic one that came out for GameCube? Yeah. Wait, this just sounds like a fan-made remaster of the GameCube's 007, right? So is the GameCube one, is that the GoldenEye one? The one I'm thinking of? Because that's the only one I like even remember, right? But still, for whoever is very excited on GoldenEye, that's great that they'll get another game. Hopefully, it's as good of experience as those that grew up with 007 GoldenEye in the past. I hope that they enjoy that game when it eventually comes out. So that's one. And then one last news that I wanted to cover before I jumped into video game performances is Lost Souls Aside. So I don't know if you've heard of Lost Souls Aside, but I would say Lost Souls Aside is one of the bigger flops that we've seen this year. And that's big to say that, because Monster Hunter Wilds is having its issues. Civilization was a pretty big flop when it came out. But regardless, those games, as long as you could run them, you could play them. So Lost Souls Aside, if you don't know, it's a kind of Final Fantasy inspired game. But on release, this game has, because I don't think they've been addressed yet. I don't think they've been fixed. It's had so many issues. And I mean, like, if you go to Steam right now, the reviews that you're gonna find there are all negative. If you go to Metacritic, if you go to like different rating like reviews for the game, they're all pretty low scores, relatively speaking. And it got announced as a PlayStation exclusive. And PlayStation exclusives, all of them, yeah, performance issues, yes. PlayStation exclusives or any exclusive is meant to, is always done with the motive that it's a console seller. So it's a motivation that this a game exclusive will get people to buy the console to play it, right? So this flopping as hard as it has been is really bad. So yes, there is a lot of performance issue, right? People are complaining that the game is just being framey all the time. It's just lagging all the time. They're also complaining that some cutscenes are just paused, like the guy just, you don't see any movement, and suddenly you have the audio is playing in the background, and you just don't end up seeing anything move in the cutscene, and just, that terrible experience. But other than that, apparently the English dubbing of this game is also atrocious. And yet Sony is putting PlayStation exclusives on Steam. Yes. So because it's putting on Steam, that's the reason a lot of people have been able to experience the game, and why it's been getting, I guess, why it's been so massive, its downfall. Because once again, people who got the game, it's a $60 game, so at least it wasn't $70, but it's a $60 game, and people are complaining that the game is not worth its price. It's not finished. It's half-baked. And once again, the English dub apparently is really bad. It's apparently super bad. I don't know who they got to work on the English dub, but apparently they've been having it didn't end up being that good. And I feel bad for whoever dubbed the series. But the workaround for that has apparently been the Japanese dubbing is apparently really good. So maybe, and some people have been playing it in the Japanese version, and apparently that's pretty nice to listen to and to play through. But nonetheless, the issue is that people feel like the game is lacking in many ways, and the performance is really bad. Even if you have the most recent specs, like even if you have the most recent NVIDIA graphics card, they are still struggling with the game, right? The game is still stuttering. So it's clearly not your PC issue, right? That your PC is maybe not optimized or can't run it, like what happened with Monster Hunter Wilds when it launched. This is clearly just the game is not optimized, and thus it's not running well. So that's very interesting to just see that's happened. The only problem is if you don't know Japanese, you wouldn't be able to enjoy the dubbing. I mean, I think that you could put subtitles in English, right? I don't think that people who have been, I don't think we're talking about people who just raw dog the dubbing, the Japanese dubbing. I think it's people who, they put the Japanese dubbing, but they put English subtitles, and that's allowed them to be able to, just play the game and just read whatever subtitles there is. So I can't confirm. Once again, I have not played this game. Frankly, I do not plan on playing this game. I'm just letting you know what I've read reviews online and what I've read from like Steam reviews from players. So yeah, overall, not looking really good for PlayStation as a whole, and for the team that made Lost Soul Society. I am always rooting for developers. I hope that they are able to address all the issues, and that the game eventually does end up getting some traction, and does end up getting the love that maybe that the developers believe it deserves. But we're yet to see. Unfortunately, it's just a moment of just waiting and seeing what we see, and if players bring back trust enough to play the game again, or to give it a second chance. So that's the unfortunate state of Lost Soul Society. But that covers all the major news, or at least interesting news, that I saw for this week on the gaming marketplace, right? And if you want to check some of these news yourself, you can go to the website, thegamingmarketplace.com, and in there you can go ahead and look at marketplace news, and you can see a list of different what are they called? Different gaming newsletters, news people, and you can go through them and you see what's being released this week, and you can read through any article that strikes your fancy. So go ahead and check it out. A little over 30 minutes of current events. Yes, I wanted to keep it relatively short, but as you know, it doesn't seem like I wanted to see. I tried searching for more news, but it seems like these were the major ones. Other news were just like simple things. Some people talking about Nintendo and how they are anticipating, like they announced like a new like jamboree, a new mini game, the Mario Party like add additions with the Switch 2 and stuff like that. But overall, not super huge news. I did, however, find out that there's like a indie game show that's going on, that's gonna be coming out and sometime in September. I think it's like September 13th, September 8th, something around that. Super Mario Party Jamboree, exactly. So the overall, like they apparently there's gonna be a game show just for indie games, and it's like the people who are making the game show are themselves an indie studio, like a small team. So I'd be interested to see how their game show goes and what games they show there. I hope that that's a good space for indie developers to really showcase their games. So that'd be interesting. I plan on tuning into that. But that's the news. That is the recap for this week in the gaming marketplace. Now, with that segment done, let's go ahead and look at some performance of some of the games. So, what game shall we start with today? Let's see. I just gotta pull up the wheel, so give me a second. It's not recognizing it. Oh, I know why. Let's go here. Let's start off with the Wheel of GameStop spin. Yes, I'm trying to pull it up right now. There we go. Up. And there we go. Let me just make sure you guys can see it on screen. So let me go ahead and move over here. Perfect. You can see it just fine. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and spin this wheel. And let me not give you the ads. And let's see what we get. Oh, the wheel's being covered a little bit. Spin. So the first game we're gonna be covering today is gonna be Omori. Let's go ahead and search for Omori, shall we? Let me look it up. Let's see here. Let's go to code real quick. Let's go get that data. If you want to follow along, you can see the last 3 months in the website in the gaming marketplace. So if you want to go ahead and look up Omori and follow along, you'll be able to see at least the last 3 months of performance for that game. And I'll be able to cover the rest of the year, or at least whatever you're not able to see. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add you here. Okay. See here. Okay, got it. Okay, so let me just get this here. And up. And let's pull it up on screen. This one? Yes, it is. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and lower this real quick. Plop. All right, so let's go ahead and put that on screen. So let's go with game charts. Make sure the properties. There you go. There you go. So now you can see it on screen. All right. So okay. So let me make sure I size this properly. Okay. So now on screen, you're able to see the this stats for Omori. So just taking a look at it, we can see that Omori has reached its highest peak that I've been able to record for Omori was 5.75 gems. And we can see that although it had this bump here, it went down. So this was on March of 25. It saw the peak, and then it went down slowly to an average of 1.3, 1.5 gems per day. And so it kept that performance for the rest of 2024, and then raising the average a little bit at the start of 2025, where it started seeing an average of 1.8 to 2 gems per day. And then it went down to most recently to its new average, which is 1.3 gems per day, with its most recent value being 1.167 gems. Overall, doing pretty good well for an indie. It's right, if you see on screen, it's right within the expected margin of performance for indie games. So it's still doing pretty well, even if it's in the bottom. It's doing more than 1 gem, so that's always good. Let me see if I can see why maybe we're seeing that. Let me hide this real quick. And why we're seeing that little spike we saw on March of 2024. So let's go ahead and look up. So our usual, let's go to SteamDB, and we'll also go to Twitch, and I'll also go to Google Trends to see how it did regarding YouTube searches. So let's go to Google Trends. Now let's go for Omori. Video game, there we go. YouTube searches. Okay. And this is 2025. This is recent. Where's the more? I'm trying to see. Okay, there we go. Past day. Let's put it for the last 12 months, maybe. Or we can put it for. That's a year. We'll leave it for a year for now. Actually, no, we won't be able to see. It'll have to be 5 years. Okay. So let's look up. Let me show you what I have on screen. Let's hide it. All right. So if we go look at, let's just look at Google Trends first, right? So if we look at Google Trends, we saw that its performance was around March of 2024. And if we look at March of 2024, it seems like right around, no, that's, okay, yeah. It's somewhere around here. There we go. So this little spike that you're seeing here correlates with that March of 2024, but we can also check. So we can also check SteamDB, but this little spike, in case, I don't know if you've used Google Trends in the past, but the recent that the way Google Trends works is that Google has created, according to its like metric of like time span, it determines what's considered 100. So it takes that higher value, what the highest value, and it calculates that as being 100 or 100%. And then any other search results and like queries and all that kind of stuff, all their metrics will be compared to that highest value. And thus they'll be assigned a percentage according to how close they got to that peak. So the highest search trends, right, for Omri was around 2020, June of 2022. And then now everything is being compared to that, its highest peak in searches, right? Inquiries and all that. So now that's why we get this value that we're seeing here, which it's just like 50% of its lifespan of searches of trend. 50%, that's how its performance on that month of 2024. Let's see here. L ads, I only watch the ads if they support creators. I agreed. And hours of playtime, maybe. So I'm not able, actually, maybe I can look up hours of playtime. Give me a sec. I can look that one up real quick. Let's go with, I know that Steam Spy shows player time. So we should be able to take a look, and I have to like not show it on screen because I have to log in to see this information. But I should be able to see that data. Let's see. Okay, perfect. And now, and then let's go with Omri. Okay, perfect. So I'll show you what I have on screen now. All right, so Omri, you can see playtimes here, but you can see audience, and this one shows you playtimes as well. So let's move this to, what was it, March of 2024? This is 2025. This is, what is this? What year is this? This is April of 2025, so it has to be, that's 2025. This 2024. Okay, so what we're seeing is this is January. Wait, where's January? Here, March. So the value we're seeing, that peak that we're seeing on March, where are you? Here, correlates to its playtime. So apparently there wasn't an increase in players, it seems, but there seems to have been an increase in playtime that day, where it saw an average of 30 hours overall from all the players that were playing it that day. So in case you don't know how to read this, it's on hours, right? So 36 hours and 19 minutes. That's how you would read it here. And it shows you the medium and it shows you the average. And in this case, it's showing you that the average playtime amongst everybody who decided to play it that day was around 30 hours, which is above so the way they calculate it is not just how many hours there is in a day, right? It's that they're taking the amount of hours, they're adding up all the hours and dividing it by the amount of people who are playing it, and that's how you get a general play time, from like how much time playtime has been invested by people, and that's how you get that value. So at least that's, to my understanding, that's how Steam Spy gets that value. So regardless, it seems like there was a spike of playtime. People were playing it longer that day on March of 2024, which correlates with this spike here. So according to that, it doesn't seem like we're going to see a spike in player counts, but we'll just take a look nonetheless. March, August, July, June. So we do see a little bit of a bump here on March. So there is a little bit of a correlation there. And the last one is Twitch tracker. Let's see if it was increased due to people's like a YouTuber or something. Sorry, due to a streamer. There we go. I was gonna type there's 24 hours in a day. How is the playtime over a little over 30 hours of playtime? All right. And was I able to explain it? Did you understand the explanation, or do you need me to kind of explain it again in a different way? Let me know, because you know it's not exactly the amount of hours played that exact same day. It's like calculated differently. But I can explain it again if you need me to explain it. Okay, but looking at here it is. Okay, here it is. So we do see this is August, March. We don't see a spike in viewers, at least. In March, do we see a spike in channels, people playing it? That's June, that's May, and this is March. So we do see that there was an increase in channels and people streaming the game. So there's also that. Yeah, I understood the explanation. Okay, perfect. So that's all those factors. It's a small contribution here and there. So all those factors came together to raise its value to the gem score that we see here, right? It takes into account all those things and some additional stuff, but that seeing all those tiny boosts in performance, right? How many people were streaming it, how many channels were how many people were watching it, how many channels were streaming it, how many people were looking, searching for it, the trend of people searching for it on YouTube, and looking at the actual player numbers and playtime. All that together allowed it to have this peak that we're seeing here, which is the 5.75 gems that we see it on March. So that's very interesting. I wonder if there was an update on March that warranted people coming back into the game and playing it for longer, or if it's just, there's no straight correlation behind that. Where is usually patches? There it is here. March of 2024. It doesn't seem that way. It seems like the last update I received was on June 2022. So it doesn't seem like there was anything that really indicated it. My guess is either a YouTuber started playing it, or a YouTuber started playing it, or they were doing a playthrough, and thus people were searching for that specific YouTuber's playthrough, and they were able to they just kind of played through the entire game. And then as he was whoever that YouTuber was played the game, some people figured out about the game, and some people wanted to play it themselves, and then that created this little small temporary bubble where suddenly Omori was brought into a bunch of people's attention, a lot of people's eyes, and then the engagement increased temporarily right there. But regardless, it did normalize shortly. Sorry about that. It did normalize shortly after that, and now we're seeing similar to what would probably represent closer to what you normally see, how many people are playing Omori every day. Which also is interesting because it's almost one of the top 1,000 games played on Twitch live, and you can see that there's still a good amount of people that do stream it, do play it. So it's pretty good, especially for, I believe Omori is a story game. So for a story game, that's really good. So yeah, so that is Omori. Very interesting stuff. Now, Sans, is there anything you want to, anything in particular in the game you wanted to cover, or do we just spin the wheel again? Or anybody else who's watching, do you have any suggestions? No? Seems to me like we're gonna be spinning a wheel. So, let me get ready to spin that wheel again. Let's see here. Let's go spinning the wheel. Okay, there you go. So, let's go ahead and spin it and let's see what we get this time around. We got old school RuneScape. Let's go ahead and take a look. So, let's go ahead and look for old school RuneScape. Let me make sure I'm writing it properly, because I think this is going to be one of those where it's like worded weirdly. Make sure I'm wording it properly. It's really good. I'm currently, I don't know. Yeah, you're listening to it. The background music that I have right now is the Deltarune soundtrack. So we're looking for RuneScape, old school RuneScape. This old school RuneScape, and let's start here. Okay, so here's the data that I have. Okay, so go ahead and show that on screen. Stream shares. Okay, so what you're gonna be seeing on screen now is the, let me zoom in real quick. So this is the data that I have for old school RuneScape. Honestly, pretty interesting just out of the get-go what we're seeing. I'm not going to say yes any games we can review, so you can get through the ever-expanding list. Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. I mean, I don't mind going through a list. It just keeps, you know, as you said, ever-expanding. But also, you're watching live, and one of the things I try to do to encourage people to come in live is that I'll check if you have any particular game, and we can check your game right here live, and you have priority. So don't hesitate to ask if there is a game you're curious about. But regardless, old school RuneScape is behaving pretty interesting, as it had an average of 2.5 gems. No, an average of like 3 gems per day for most of in the start of 2025, and then it saw a huge jump to 73 gems on July, where it has like, it seems like it's slowly going back down. I must assume that this is just like people making content about it, right? This type of sporadic behavior, there's not many people who play the game, or maybe they play the game, but there's not many people making content about it. And then somebody uploads a video, or somebody goes online and plays it, and suddenly that spikes that value for that day, and then it goes back down to its average. Maybe a big RuneScape YouTuber played old school RuneScape. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But then it skyrocketed, and it's once again it is trending downwards again. So whatever hype it got here, it seems to be normalizing itself once more. But the peak that it got was a pretty high value. It got a peak of 73.65 gems. Currently, like, that's really good. Either that or the black market of RuneScape took over. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's one of the reasons Counter-Strike is so high, because Counter-Strike has people like gambling on it all the time. So it's not just people playing it. It's also people who just go in there, buy loot crates, and then gamble. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something, if that does involve something along those lines. But regardless, after that peak in July of this year, it has slowly gone down, peaking every so often, and seeing roughly, it has gone all the way down to its current value, which is 19.27 gems. Gold. A lot of people want that. A lot of people want that gold. But yeah, regardless, this is the super interesting performance for old school RuneScape. So I have to assume it's like what you said. It's a YouTuber that a famous RuneScape YouTuber or something that suddenly went back to the old school RuneScape and grinding that out. But we'll see what data I find regarding RuneScape. So give me a sec. Old school RuneScape. Old school RuneScape. There we go. So here's old school RuneScape. Let's see if we see anything regarding player values. Can I take some items out? No, it seems like it's gonna be this busy. I'm gonna zoom in. Do more. Well, you can, just looking at it, actually, just look at it like this, we can see that there has been a influx in July of this year. You can definitely tell that starting July, there's been an increase in people playing the game. Increase in player count, in playtime. That's super interesting. That there's that we see this correlation here, right? And let's see if Twitch also resembles that. So old school RuneScape. There it is. Well, it's number 31, so clearly there's a bunch of people playing it. Yeah, there's been an increase. Oh, let me reset soon. There's been an increase on July, so I don't know what has been going on. Maybe children started to play it. Maybe. It's super interesting that it's basically reviving. Old school RuneScape is basically being revived. Everything is pointing to suddenly people coming into playing it. What's the Google Trends on it? Let's go RuneScape. Old school RuneScape. Old school RuneScape. There it is. Yeah, we can even see it here. It saw the highest. Search like search volume trend in recent weeks and recent days. This is super interesting. I don't know. Maybe there's some news regarding old school RuneScape. That's so interesting. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and just go into old school RuneScape and see the most recent, I guess, news regarding old school RuneScape, and see if we see any interesting reason why RuneScape is suddenly going up so much recently. OSR new event isn't what I had in my bingo card, but I'm not complaining. Oscar's first limited time community event is here. Oh, could it be something along those lines? No, but this is normal RuneScape, right? No, this is old school. old school OS RS. Okay. Old school RuneScape Barlamore Part 1, all major features. That's 1 year ago. Like, this is, let me go by most fresh. RuneScape boss says he killed Pride, blah, 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 blah. Old school RuneScape fan reveals over 500 bots at once by typing just a simple word. Could it be botting? No, because there's views. There's also people who are, like, playing, not just, like, playing the game. We're seeing views go up on Twitch. So clearly, there's movement there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. CEO is happy to be a RuneScape company. I don't see anything here. Let me go all the way to oh no, then it jumps to 1 year ago. Old school RuneScape has officially taken over my life, and I deeply regret not trying it out sooner. Who knows? Maybe this article might have brought some attention to the game. Interesting. It's so interesting to see such an old game be revived like this, right? The last thing I'm gonna check is the player count. So let's go ahead and go to old school RuneScape here and see if we see a spike. We do kind of see it. So this is 2025. We do see an increase in players. So I don't know exactly what happened in July, but something happened in July which caused people to start playing RuneScape again, start streaming it, and start making content about it. Like, it seems like a lot of people are engaging with the game recently. That's super cool. It's the first time I see old school RuneScape counts as an indie game, right? It's the first time I see an indie game, or actually any game right now, just suddenly, revive itself like that, seemingly overnight. So that's super interesting. So yeah, wow, that's really nice. And now it's holding a pretty steady value of well, not steady value, but it's a pretty high value. Once again, the last value being 19.27 gems. Going down, but still really good. We'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on this and see if it starts to normalize and the average starts becoming back at like that high. Maybe it goes back up after here, and it goes up, and who knows? And then this becomes its new average. Very interesting. It would depend on the company team. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it would depend. It depends on whether they. I don't think they would add updates, right? So maybe it's more of a community thing. Maybe the community brings it, like, is developed and like brings a lot of traction and movement into the game. Maybe modding scene is something that can revive the game. But still, super interesting. That's the first time I've seen this phenomenon. So it's very nice to see. That's really cool. So yeah, so that's old school RuneScape. Kopi the Cat, thank you for joining in. Soda Popping started playing it, and that's why it went. Oh, Soda Popping started playing it. Damn. Okay. So that would explain why it became like got so much traction overnight. That's super interesting. Damn. Okay. Well, that's super good to see and good to know. The power of celebrities. It's like when who was it? Was it Kanye? No, not Kanye. Drake. When Drake started playing with Ninja on Fortnite. Like that, when he started playing with Ninja and all that, skyrocketed. A lot of people were suddenly playing Fortnite because they wanted to have the opportunity or the chance of finding themselves in the same lobby as Drake. So very interesting, the effect that famous people and have on these games, and how easily one person could just revive a game out of nowhere. That's super cool. Well, it's good to know. It's good to know that's the reason. So, Kopi the Cat, since you just joined, is there any game you would like me to check the performance of? If not, then I have this wonderful wheel. I have this wonderful wheel right here that I can spin. which is a wheel of games suggested from different viewers. So if there's anything you would like me to cover, leave it in the chat, and we'll if we have time, we'll cover it. But with that said, I think we can go ahead and spin the wheel here real quick. So let's see. Unturned. So fun fact about Unturned, I used to play Unturned. Unturned is very, it's the way I would describe it, it's a Unturned is a, what do you call it? A zombie survival type of it's a zombie survival type of Minecraft zombie game, right? So it's DayZ. It's like the DayZ of zombies, the DayZ of Minecraft. So it's a blocky world, blocky textures, and all that kind of stuff. And you play and you survive. I played it when I was younger, and at that point I had to like go through this. I don't remember the name at this point, but I had to go through this roundabout way to create a local network. Like I think it was peer-to-peer at that point. I had to create like a peer-to-peer network so I could play that game with to host a server so I could play it with my friends, and we could have like this mutual server and play together. But with that said, let's go ahead and let me look for the data regarding peer Unturned. Let me go look for that up. And Copy the Cat, if you have any questions regarding gems or the values or anything you're seeing, feel free to ask. I'll answer any questions I can. So let me go ahead and look up. Okay, so if we take a look here, it seems like it finally decided to connect to the TikTok chat. That's funny. Okay, so let's see here. So if I look up the Unturned. Unturned. Let's go ahead and look at that data. Perfect. Okay. So, putting that on screen real quick. So, you can see that Unturned has lost a lot of its player base in recent months. At least, like, it seems like it started losing sometime around July. The highest value, the highest peak we saw for Unturned was on... Do you want to show me? Oh, not what I wanted to do. It was on May of 2024, where it saw 264 gem score. That's honestly a pretty high gem score, especially for a game that's pretty old as well. And I honestly didn't think that there were that many people playing this game. There might be like a community or something regarding this game, but it's interesting. I didn't expect for it to have such a high value. So it had, once again, its peak was 164, and that 264, and it seemed like it had that on average. It had 200 gems per day, a pretty decent gem score. Although it has gone down, and now it has an average all the way down to like roughly 50 gems per day, which is roughly what I expect from indie games. So it went back down and normalized itself to a smaller community that keeps playing it. And now with its most recent highest peak being April 1st of 2025, which is it saw 104 gems, which went back up to triple digits. That's really nice. That's really cool. It did go. It's just that peak there, but then it went back to its 50 gem average, and it recently went down to roughly 21 gems per day. So that is interesting. Let's see if we can see that correlation with if it's player count. Maybe we see that not many people have been playing it overall, or if we see how people have been losing interest with the game. Yeah, we can see that drop off right here. It's a very clear drop off right here. That's the drop off we're seeing from players. Let's see if we see it for online content of it. I don't expect there to be too much online content, if I'm being completely honest. So let's go ahead and look for on turn. Yeah, so it's 3K, and it's seeing roughly six average viewers. Yeah, it's not seeing too much traction. Kind of sporadic, so it doesn't seem like the viewers is affecting the score that much. What about search? Let's go Google Trends on YouTube. So let's go on turn. So this is 2020. Okay, so this is the January. So this is the drop we see in 2024. But it seems like there's still some interest in the game. There still seems to be people searching information about the game, stuff like that. Although it has lost some popularity. Let's see here. And let's see here. If we look at you on turn, do we see anything regarding player counts? No, we don't really see anything. I mean, if we look at the heat map, it might be better, but we don't really see any overall difference here in these times. None that I would notice. No drastic changes here either. So it seems like it's purely the player count is what was keeping it alive, and now that the player count has diminished, its gem value has diminished with it. Who knows? Maybe this player count here were bots. Maybe this was a bunch of bots, and then they managed to crack down on bots, and that's why we're seeing such a lower number. Because it's really weird to see such a drastic fall like that without any like backlash or anything like that. Like literally from one day to the next. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go to YouTube real quick, just because I'm curious. I am curious. So if I look on turn. Let's see here. It still seems to be getting some views there, but it's not a whole lot. Yeah, it seems like people are playing it the same way they would be playing Roblox, it seems. So yeah, but it has a niche community, but it seems like it has a good amount of people that still play it pretty consistently, and there's content creators for it. So that's pretty interesting. This is all pretty nice. So yeah. But unfortunately, with its recent fall, the highest value it's gotten in the last few weeks is 21 gems. So we might be seeing the downfall of a pretty popular game, and it might be because of once again the popularity, the increase in popularity with Roblox and all that kind of stuff. You know, these type of games start losing luster as other games start going up. So that could be it. It's like you turned flatline. Yeah, exactly. It was alive, and suddenly it just started losing all traction and just died. I mean, it still has a small community, but compared to the values that I was seeing before, it just kind of died there. So yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing right now, and that's on turn. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the wheel and spin the wheel again. So let's see. Well, I like this song. This is like the original Undertale song. There is like one of the songs from like Undertale. So let's see here. Let's see. Nice roll. We got Red Dead Redemption. Ooh, but Kopi has suggested, let's see, Hollow Knight. It probably got an uptick because of the Silksong. So I can actually looked it up not too long ago. So we'll take a look at Red Dead Redemption after Hollow Knight. But I did see Hollow Knight had increased by like 100%. It had increased by a lot with people playing it in anticipation with Silksong. So let's go ahead and look for Hollow Knight. Let me just look it up. So I gotta find it. Let's see here. So if we go look at here, let's go for that Hollow Knight. Make sure I read it correctly. I wrote it with one L instead of two. That was my mistake. So let's go ahead, put that in, and get its most recent data. There we go. And now we have Hollow Knight. Okay, so let me just show that on screen real quick. Get this. And here we go. Oh, you're not seeing it. Why are you not seeing it? What's going on? You should be seeing it now. Why is it not? Did it like... What the hell? What happened to you? What happened? Game chart. Oh, it's like super zoomed in or something? What's going on here? Did you get desynced? It might have gotten desynced. Wait a second while I sync it back up again. Gem charge, property, and let's go. There we go. Okay, so now you can see it on screen. So this is Hollow Knight, and this is a spike we're seeing right here. So in recent days, due to Silksong, we saw the spike here, but this is all basically influenced by Silksong. As you can see, it saw a bunch of spikes every so often. This is basically whenever new Silksong information got announced, you would see a spike in players playing Hollow Knight. So this is not surprising. This is literally like every time, oh, Silksong, play Hollow Knight, Silksong, Hollow Knight, Silksong, and then we got a lot of information sporadically throughout the year, and that's the performance that we're seeing right here. With its most recent performance being today, right? Oh, maybe that's not today's data. Let me make sure. Is this today's data? Can you like show me? No, this is August 23. So let me real quick send the most recent data. It seems like I had it. I have it on this side. So let me send that over real quick. Because we should be able to see an even higher. We should be able to see an even higher peak than we're seeing here. So let me just go ahead and find it real quick. Yeah, let's get you out. Let's put the new one in. If you check the website will have the most recent as well. So that's another thing you can do. You can check out thegamingmarketplace.com and you'll be able to see the most recent value as well while I boot up this one here. So I'll just go look at that data there while we wait. So let's go thegamingmarketplace.com. Alright. So if we were to go top games, here's the most recent data. There you go. Do we see Hollow Knight up here? We do not see it up here, so let's go ahead and check here. Hollow Knight. All right, so here's the increase. I'll change it to bar graph just so we have a better view of it. So here is the increase for Hollow Knight. So as we can see, in anticipation, up until yesterday, in anticipation for Silksong, we've seen a increase of, I mean, I saw that it had increased like 100%. So now we're seeing that it has, the most recent peak while waiting for Silksong to come out was 70 gems. But going back to the data that I have, it's funny enough, I think that's this peak right here. This is the 70 gems. No, this is 30. So this is not even covering the peak we were seeing later. How can you buy gems? So you don't buy gems. Hello, Modulin? How you doing? So you don't buy gems. So the way gems work is it's a completely unbiased video game rating system that I developed. And what it does is that it scrapes the internet for different the statistics of the performance of any game, and then it compiles all that data and calculates a unique value, which is the gem. The way you would contribute to the performance, or you would, I guess, be able to affect the value of any game, is by, well, spending your time with the game, engaging with the game. Not necessarily just playing it, but you can technically buy gems by buying the game. You're not wrong. So that is one of the things we do look for, is just how many people own the game. But that's not gonna make, that's maybe gonna make like a small bump in the graph. If you want any game, if you want to invest your time on a game by either playing it or watching creators online make watching content of creators online, whether that be on YouTube and Twitch, by doing that and engaging with the community, graph is Steam chart. The graph is not Steam chart. It's one of the data I do get from Steam, but this graph is developed by me. This is my data. This is what you're probably confusing it with. You're probably thinking with SteamDB, which is this graph right here. So if I look for Hollow Knight, so this is the recent Steam data, right? And this only accounts for players. I don't sell games, so I try to look at games. So you can check these values online. You can check, I have a website, it's called thegamingmarketplace.com, and with this website, the whole point is to basically give a rating that changes over time, that can allow people to know how popular a game is, or if it's a game worth investing your time in. Like Science says, I get my data from Steam, SteamDB, Twitch chart, TeenSpy. I also get some data from Google Trends. I get some data from YouTube. So I get data from different aspects to calculate that value. Now, there might be some correlation to the performance in Steam, and that's primarily because in SteamDB with player count is definitely one of the values that I do take into account. But as you can see, this performance does not fit. Where is it? Here it is. Does not fit one-to-one with what we're seeing player data. Because although player data is a great value for people to use in regards to measuring how alive a game is, like player-wise, it's not necessarily the best metric, for example, for indie games. Because there's a lot of indie games that people like watching content of, but not necessarily play it, right? So since people don't necessarily like playing those indie games, by watching content of another person playing the game, they keep the game alive. They keep the game in people's minds, in people's hearts. So I try to basically measure that, and that way I can give you a value that you can track over time to see its popularity. It's called GEMS, but GEMS stands for Game Enjoyment Metric. And I'm basically measuring that. It's how much you're enjoying any given game. Yes, and as of right now, I only get my data from, at least I only get my player time and player count data directly from Steam. But I am trying to get information like Sans mentioned from itch.io and from Game Jolt, and then hopefully in the future I can talk to if this indie project grows even more, I could potentially try and get people to basically I could start sitting in the table and maybe talking to Microsoft to get some of like console data, or start talking to PlayStation to get some of their data. I doubt that I'll ever get Nintendo data, just because Nintendo is very stingy with their data. But still, it's an indie project. I'm currently developing it. I always tweak it here and there. But yeah, that's the whole point. The whole point is that you can look at the performance of any given game, and then if it's not just how many people are playing it, it's people actually enjoying it, right? So that's what I'm measuring here. And if a game has you don't play a game you don't like, right? So unlike game reviews that have a one-time score and they can be biased, this review is completely unbiased, right? This value is completely unbiased. It's purely based on how you, the public, are engaging with your with any given game. So that's the value of what we have here. So yeah, so that's similar. That's kind of how gems work. And I just basically tell news about different games, and then hopefully provide suggestions of any games you might be interested in playing. So if you have any games you're curious of, you can leave it in the chat. We can take a look at it. But to go back to Hollow Knight, we can see that Hollow Knight, once again, with every new announcement of any additions or any like game show, with any announcement of Silksong, we would see a spike in players, and we would see a spike in people making content about Hollow Knight, right? So once again, this is not just players. This is also people who went online and started talking about Hollow Knight as a whole, thanks to them anticipating Silksong. With that said, its highest peak value that we've been able to record was, I think it's this guy right over here. Let me see if I can show me the value. Come on. Oh, you're giving me, there we go. 44 gems. So the highest peak that we've been able to record from Hollow Knight is 44 gems. Now, I anticipate that Silksong, once I manage to acquire its performance data, I expect it to be way above Hollow Knight. But this is the performance for Hollow Knight. Overall, on average, it was seeing, if we were to look kind of all across the board, it had an average of around 30 gems per day. Which you can see kind of around here if you ignore these spikes when there were any announcements. It's all around 30 gems per day. It went down, but it went down to like around 15 gems in the last couple days. But then with the announcement of Silksong and them announcing the game release and it coming out literally today, people started playing Hollow Knight a lot in anticipation for it. I know there was Bao, if you know Bao, the VTuber. She started playing this game and she was trying to go through and try to beat it, the true ending, before Silksong came out. And that's why we see these spikes here. And with its highest value being 70, a score of 70 gems. And its most recent value was 69 gems. Funny number. 69, funny number. So that's where we're at. So that is Hollow Knight. And you can once again see the Silksong release date. Yeah, it's funny how they put the release date on as a marker for Hollow Knight here on SteamDB. That's how impactful Silksong is. So it's super interesting. So yeah, and then so that's that one. So now that we've covered Hollow Knight, let's go ahead and go to the game that had won the spin, the GameStop wheel, the wheel of GameStop, and let's go ahead and take a look at Red Dead Redemption. So just give me a moment while I go ahead and look at Red Dead Redemption data. So, Red Dead Redemption. Over here. Okay, so let's go with Red Dead Redemption. Is it 1 or 2? I didn't even see. Red Dead Redemption 1. Okay, so it's the first one. Red Dead Redemption. Let's go ahead, look that data up. So let's see here. Let's put the Red Dead Redemption right here. Run that. And there's the value. So let me go ahead and show that on screen. Okay, so here we go. Let me just zoom in real quick. Let me make sure I'm showing it on screen. There we go. So this is Red Dead Redemption 1. So from what we can see, we see another huge spike here. I'm assuming there was a some person who did content about it recently. But with that said, this so with this, Red Dead Redemption has seen, before this spike we're seeing here, Red Dead Redemption had seen a spike of 4.38 gems. And then after that, it maintained a average value of roughly 2 gems per day. Yeah, or an average value of 1.5 to 2 gems per day. It did slowly start increasing slightly in May, and then we see this huge spike in July. We see this huge spike in July. And that spike is raised it all the way to 23 gems. That's a pretty high value for a game that's super old, right? This game came out with the Xbox 360, so that's why that's why we're seeing such low values, and that's very interesting, that spike there. So I wonder if it's something as simple as somebody streamed it that day and got like some famous person streamed it, and it got attention. Red Dead Redemption. I don't know how to write. I'm just gonna. There you go. So Red Dead Redemption. Yep, it's exactly that. It seems to be exactly that. This was in November. So it's this guy. This is the spike we're seeing. So this spike in recent days correlates with this value. Oh, sorry. With this value here. Yeah, July 8th. It's exactly the same day. So on July 8th is when we saw when I saw this huge like, it seems like somebody was streaming it, and it got that much attention. Why is the gem algorithm secret? So the reason the gem algorithm is secret is mostly because it's proprietary, right? I mean, I created it, but I didn't know how much traction this would get, and I don't want to have this suddenly stolen by somebody, and then they recreate it, and they somehow have better marketing skills, or they have a name for themselves, and and then they go ahead and use this idea that I worked really hard on. So that's why the algorithm is a secret, but it's not an entire secret, right? So I do still, in the website, there is a section called What Are Gems, and I do try to explain a lot of the aspects of what makes up a gem. I am trying to find a way, but the problem with copywriting the algorithm is that it's pretty expensive, and right now I don't have the capital. So the idea is that as I grow, right, and I create a community, and this metric grows in popularity, that I'll eventually be able to copyright it, so that way I can be a little bit more open on all the details that run into to create the algorithm. But that being said, the algorithm is also changing, as in whenever I see new facets of data that I could search up for any particular game that I could add to the algorithm, I'll tweak the algorithm to add that information in there. But that also is one thing that helps me is if you guys, I try the algorithm to be as representative of you, the public, you, the player base. So you do to make money on algorithm? In retrospect, no, not necessarily. The reason why I'm trying to make the algorithm public, but the problem is that if somebody were to steal it, they could copyright it, right? And if they copyright it, then they can manipulate it in any way. So the way I'm trying to create it right now is so that I can provide this information to everybody and provide it in a free manner. Right now it's free. You can go online and go on the website and check those values yourself, right? It's a tool. What I'm trying to create is a tool that people can use for whenever they're analyzing games, and for whenever they're checking whether a game would be interesting for them or not. And also, if I were to charge money for this, it would be either because it grew way farther and I need to maintain like server, since the website is being run by me as well. There is servers cost that I would have to take care of. And also, as it grows and I start acquiring more data from other companies, some companies charge for their API, right? So if I want to make the algorithm even more efficient, I would have to start paying a company to be able to acquire the data that I could include. So those are costs that would eventually come down the pipeline, right? Those are costs that I would take. And the plan right now is to try to grow enough either in YouTube or Twitch, or whether that be on the website, so I can get some revenue, some some ad revenue. Because if I get ad revenue and I can live off that, and I can use that money, then I can have the gem values be free, right? You don't need to know how to recreate the score or the algorithm to enjoy the benefits of it, right? So that's where my mindset is at. I'm trying to be able to create this algorithm so that everybody can use it, and then slowly make content about it online, so that people can, so that I can live, off something, and I can still maintain it to be free for everybody else. I do plan on doing that. Currently, Google Ads is like reviewing the website, so I can see if I can put like tiny banners in the side to put ads. So those are stuff, and then maybe in the future I'll open a Patreon of some sort to try to help with this whole thing. But I want to make sure that if I am in any way asking for donations or asking for money from you viewers and you the community, I want to make sure that I'm giving something back to you guys, right? So that being said, I would make sure that if I do it on a Patreon to gain additional access to the website, it's because I'm now adding more value or more information to the website that you would care about, right? Because once again, this is all to make the ideal future would be that you would see games get announced or games go for, I don't know, game of the year, and amongst all the in the marketing, amongst all the it got 10 out of 10, it got 9 out of 10, it got 8 out of 10, and this critic, this critic, you'll see, and it had a peak value of this many gems in the gaming marketplace, right? So I'm hoping that at some point it becomes a tool that a lot of people can use, and like hopefully as well as propped up, hopefully giving a tool for indie developers to also be able to see whether the game is doing well and why maybe their game could be not doing so well, why it is doing well. Monetization is okay with me. I like money. I mean, yeah, but I want to Beyblade to buy gems like stocks. So when I originally thought about this, the reason I compare it with stocks is because it's an ever-changing value that you can track, right? But since I don't see how you would be able to buy a game, right? Buy low, say high. Yeah. In this case, the equivalent to that would be you finding a hidden gem and playing that game before it got popular, right? And if, for example, you are a content creator, your way of buying low and selling high is finding a game that's popular, or not popular, a game that's a hidden gem before it gets popular, and then you start making content of that game. So when it does blow up, you were the one that you were in that wave and you blew up with it, right? So that's a nice parallel for the whole buy low, sell high. But I do compare it to maybe comparison could be behind a paywall on the site. Yeah, that's definitely something I could do, and I like making a Patreon and adding those extra features and doing that kind of thing. But I want to make sure it's providing value. Like, once again, the indie developers, there's a reason that I have on screen here that I have a difference between, you can't see it that well because of the current screen, but the reason I have divided between indie games and AAA and AA games is because I don't think it's fair to compare some AAA games with the performance of indie games, right? So due to that, what is considered a good game score or good gem score for any game depends on its genre. It depends on its on its where it lies in this gaming industry, how much budget they have, how much they were able to market the game, because there's a lot of really nice games out there, but they just don't have the budget to be marketing it. So these are all the things that I'm trying to make it easier for developers to be able to use that tool to make their product and their indie games even better and promote this increase in indie games, especially with recent trends showing that people are not trusting AAAs that much and they want to play more indie games. So that's my idea, right? And as it goes on, there'll definitely be some things behind a paywall, probably be behind the Patreon. But like I said, if I'm gonna put anything behind a Patreon, it's one so that I can actually, like, right now I don't have a job, right? So right now I'm trying to see if I can make this gems score, and I'm checking if I can make the website work, so I can have enough money to, live day by day and keep doing these and keep making the website even better. I've been although I have a computer engineering background, I've never coded a website before. So I'm learning as I go how to create this website, how to make it, good. And also, if I'm not asking for any logging information right now, even though I plan to on the future, mostly because if I'm going to ask you for your logging information, I want to make sure that that it's cyber secure, right? That I don't want to end up creating something that in without making it correctly, and then end up causing you guys potential like breaches or potential loss of your privacy and your data, right? So I'm in that field, so that's all the kind of stuff that I take into account and why I'm doing things. Who knows? Maybe in the future I'll be able to have enough money. I'll have enough money to be able to pay some other developer to keep working on the website and maintain it while I work on making content for you guys. While I work on making deals with like Microsoft and PlayStation for other stuff, right? So yeah, this is, once again, it's an indie project. I'm very ambitious. There's a lot of things that I would love for this concept to become, this indie project to grow to, but it's all in your support. So if you're interested in the project and you want to back me up, then first you can always join the Discord server. I have a Discord server and I talk in there pretty frequently, and it's all there for community. So if you have any questions or you think that maybe a certain metric should be taken into account, I take those suggestions there, right? So you're always welcome to talk and just vibe with us in the server. But regardless, sharing this project with your friends, your family, people who you play with, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you have connections with a big streamer or big influencer or something. Sharing this project with them is what allows this channel to grow, so that I can then get an income to do this full time. So any and all support from you guys, greatly appreciated. And I'm just giving it my all, and I'm, being as sincere as I can be. So I hope that answered your questions. I'm just gonna call you Moj, because Mojulin. I think it's Mojulin, but I'm just gonna call you Moj. So I hope that answered your questions. But with that said, we can go back to Red Dead Redemption, which we were seeing that had those spikes right here, and we saw that one of the reasons was this spike in viewers that day, and there wasn't a spike in channels. It seems like it just a channel got a lot of viewers that day. I wish I could check who was streaming on each day, just so I could, check which maybe influencer was the reason that caused this little increase here. But let's see, do we see any increase in player count? Let's see that. Red Dead. I'm thinking that the increase definitely is just the live stream of what that day. Yep, it's just there's no player data that indicates there to be a huge thing there. And let's check in Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption. This is in 2023. And what is this? January of 2024. And doesn't seem to be any huge spike on July of searches or anything like that. So yeah, I think that the increase in gem value is definitely that that spike here. Probably Dark Viper Rao. Is that a streamer? Because unfortunately I haven't heard of that streamer, but is that a streamer that just plays a lot of Red Dead or recently played Red Dead? Let's see here. Search Dark Viper. Wow. Alright. Has he recently been playing? Does it show me categories? Recent streams. Maybe it's here. July 8th. It doesn't show me farther back. Grand Theft Auto Narda. If he did play Red Dead Redemption, I don't see it, or I can't see it right now because it doesn't go far back enough for me to be able to check what he was playing, unless. Oh wow, okay. There we go. Here is all his streams. Oh no. Oh, there you go. There's a little. I don't know. Considering I haven't seen the channel in a while. Okay. Maybe. But who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe you predicted it and you got it right. Ooh, unfortunately that's not the case. He was just playing GTA that day. But who knows? I don't know what streamer it was, but clearly somebody was streaming it and they got a lot of views. And they pumped up the gem value for that day. So yeah. So that's the general gist of it there. And going back to Red Dead. It's after this spike we see here where it got 23. We see that it went down to an average of, I mean, it has a couple spikes to 3 gems, but it seems like its most recent value was 1.009. So wait, 1.029 gems. So this is, once again, I generally expect this behavior from this game. It's like I played it on 360. I don't expect that many people to be playing it in general right now. So I only expect it to have spikes whenever like a streamer or something plays it, and they get a lot of good views from it. But yeah, that's Red Dead Redemption. Let's see. So with that, I will ask you guys, is there any other suggestion for any game you would like me to verify? Maybe you, Moj, maybe you want to see something. Let me know. We have time for one more game to review. So, do we want to any specific game, or do we spin the wheel of GameStop? I'm gonna have to like create an animation at some point where it just like changes, wipe screen. It's just the wheel of GameStop. Or maybe I buy an actual wheel and I just spin it in front of you guys. Who knows? But considering I'm not seeing any suggestions right now, I'll go ahead and spin that wheel. Spin that wheel. Where are you? There you are. Spin that wheel. Let's see what we get. The last game for today is Firewatch. Firewatch is a classic. Let's go ahead and look at the data for Firewatch. Give me boop boop boop. Let's go Firewatch here. Firewatch. There you go. I have Firewatch data. So let's go ahead and bloop, bloop, bloop. Show that on screen. So okay. So Firewatch data is on screen. You guys can see it. I'm gonna zoom in because I have data for it from the start of this year, basically. Oh, end of last year, start of this year. So it seems like Firewatch had a peak of the highest peak we've recorded for Firewatch was 1.22 gems. But overall, on average, it was seeing roughly 0.7 gems on average. And then we do see that it kind of maintained it. It did go down on March of this year, but it basically went back to that 0.7 and then went back down in the previous weeks. So isn't Firewatch the buckshot roulette like game? No, isn't Firewatch that like minimalist? Firewatch is that minimalist story game, the one where you're literally like in a tower and you're like, right? Am I getting the game wrong? Firewatch. Yeah, I was right. So it's a story game where you're in this tower. You're Firewatch tower. You're checking for any wildfires and stuff like that, and then stuff starts happening, like different mysterious stuff starts happening around you. And you start investigating it. So that's in general what Firewatch is seeing. It seems like Firewatch had a sudden increase of players on January. Let's see if that reflected itself on the gem score. January. So that is this bump we're seeing right here. So this time in January is that bump we're seeing in players this time here from like late December, early January. So it had an increase of player during that time. And let's go ahead and see if there were any other factors that allowed it to have an increase like that. But in this is June of 2024. We do not have that. We see another small spike here on Google Trends on YouTube searches. So that's another reason. And did we also see people live streaming it? Let's see here. June, not that big of a spike for January. So it seems to me like the spike for this spike that we see here in January of this year, like December, January of this year, December of last year, January of this year, was most likely the player count and the YouTube searches, like YouTube content of that game. Now, if we take a look at player time data, we can see that player time or January. Actually, it would be this, wouldn't it? What time is this? September. No, this is September. When is this? Okay, so it would be this. So we see that increase in players, which increased the playtime for that day, which is natural, right? More people playing, general playtime will increase a little bit. And that's what we are seeing here, with on average having a playtime of like 4 hours that day. Not super huge, but still a pretty decent amount. So yeah. So overall, this behavior, this peak, was caused from the playtime, the player number, and YouTube content. It seems from like searches, people start looking for it online and finding content about Firewatch on YouTube. But it doesn't seem like Twitch saw much of movement during that time. And so yeah, and its most recent value has been 0.4 gems. And although it has like some spikes here and there, which I'm assuming correlate with some spikes here. Yep, and some spikes of like some streamers giving it attention, and some spikes with people playing it. It seems like those spikes have at least managed to raise it to roughly 0.77 gems, but overall staying around 0.41 gems. It's currently gone lower It's basically staying lower than 1 gem, which for a story-based game, which this is an indie story-based game, there's not much replayability with it. So it's not that surprising that that has such a low score, especially since it's it's been a while since it came out. The game came out on 2016, so it's almost a decade old. So it makes sense that we would see such low gem values after being a decade old. So yeah, so that is Firewatch. And with that, that concludes today's update of the gaming marketplace. So I hope that this information was useful for you and that you enjoyed your time watching and learning about different things with me. Once again, if you're curious, you can always go to the website, check the gem score there, or you can also check news articles that I have on the website. Those news articles are taken from actual gaming news websites. I just put them all in one place for you, and then if you click it, it'll send you to that article. That way I'm not taking anything from the actual people who wrote the article. But yeah, if you're interested in finding more news about video games, the website will provide that for you. And if you want to see the performance of any particular game, you can always search it. And with that said, please remember to follow, subscribe, and like, and leave a notification. Click the notification bell for more updates like this. And that will conclude today's stream. Once again, thank you, Sans, for tuning in. I'm very happy that you tune in every day, and thank you for having these conversations with me. And we'll see. Maybe I've been eyeing some indie games that I plan on playing. I plan of playing on stream, and I've been in talk with Indominus and giving suggestions to some horror indie games that we could play together as well. So we'll see how that goes in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, but that is it. So I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye.